Hi guys, in this video we're going to take a look at my worms.
Gruffy Crow.
Okay, so this is the Big Mama worm from Imitation of Life Miniatures, part of April's release, I believe, and it is the biggest mini I have had from them. I had to print it across a couple of plates, it was too big to fit on one. And this follows in the wake of a series of other ones. There were some baby worms, and then there were these sort of medium-sized ones, which I thought were quite large at the time, because they're 40mm bases, those ones are on. And then we've got this one. So I think it's this bit there, 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 and it curls over. And then we've got a two-part head. Rah. Most of the pieces fit together really nicely. I think we're going to need some green stuff on this guy though. But they've got these nice big pegs, so they'll glue very tightly. And then the gaps are in the rocks, so that should hide them quite well. There are a few bits that don't fit quite so nice. I think that's more down to the resin I'm using at the moment. I think it has a bit of a warp on it, because I seem to remember these fitting a little bit better when they came out of the printer. So maybe the trick would have been to get these glued together before I cured them fine for the final cure maybe. But I'm going to clean all these pieces up and we'll get it put together. Okay, for the top part here, so we've got the bottom part built. We've actually got numbers, if you can make those out, inside the holes. And they correspond to numbers on the little legs here. And this is a quick scale piece. This is one of the sort of 28mm sort of scale mutants I've been printing up from Imitation of Life next to said worm. So, big girl. I had a look in my base box for something, and the best I could come up with is this, which is 100mm left over from my Gamma Wolves project. And she fits on there quite nicely with a bit of space all around the outside. I think I'm going to glue down before I do the green stuff. Yeah, I am. There we go, it's too late now. It's down. You could probably get away with this model without a base if you were going to use it for some sort of D&D or something, because it's nice and stable. You could almost definitely use a much smaller base than this. If you had maybe a 60 or an 80mm base kicking around. To keep the interest up on this base though, I've got some of the Imitation of Life sort of greebly bits here that we can have popping out of the sand, so the base just isn't completely boring. Okay, and there's all the gaps filled. And I've gone through and I've not only filled the gaps, but I've also sort of added in a little bit of rock here and there, just to extend that over so it doesn't look like a filled gap. Hopefully that should just look continuous when it's done. Some of that could have been avoided, I think, if I'd spent more time trying to get them to fit better. And maybe if I'd used a different resin that was a bit more accurate, it would have fit a bit better as well. But here we go, ready for an undercoat. Okay, here's Big Mama all put together and sprayed. As you can see, you can pretty much, those lines have pretty much disappeared. I'm pretty happy with the way she's looking. Got all the smaller worms and the mutants all painted as well, all undercoated. So I'm going to go with this skin tone if I can remember what it is. But I'm pretty sure it started with this rat skin flesh. And then I'll go Kislev, and then it looks like I used a Writing Flesh shade wash. So I'm going to bring all of them to this sort of layer, which I think is going to look really impressive on Big Mama. Obviously it's a big ass model, so we're going to use a big ass brush. So this shouldn't take too long at all. Okay, after re-highlighting with the Kislev, I'm actually kind of happy with the way the skin's kind of turned out. I might spend a bit more time re-highlighting again on the mutant guys, but I'm pretty happy with that on the big bug. So the next thing we're going to do is going to do this blue colour, and the way I did that on this one was to go back to the sort of original undercoat colour and maybe even a little bit lighter with the Celestia Grey, which has got nice coverage. We'll just tidy up all this bit where we've kind of made it skin coloured, and any rocky parts we'll make sure they're grey. Okay, I'm glad I checked. The Celestia Grey was too light. This is Dawnstone, and this is almost identical to the sort of base undercoat colour. So that's perfect. We can just go around, just neaten up the edges with this. Okay, now I've got all the grey neatened up. We're going to take it to this blue colour. And to do that, we're going to use this magical juice, Imitation Blue Tone. I quite like the Imitation washes. I'm not a big fan of the rest of their paints, but the washes I do like. I'm just going to go back over all of those bits we just managed to do grey. And kind of like a Games Workshop contrast paint, I'm going to let this do all the work for me. I can be quite precise getting into these last little pebbles. And as you can see, it pulls and pulls away from the high bits quite nicely and gives quite a few different shades. And then we end up with something like that. And that's the two main colours done. And I don't think I might see what it looks like when it dries, but I'd be tempted not to even highlight that. Now we've got all the blue on, I'm going to go around all the little claws, and I was thinking initially of doing these kind of black, like a black shiny sort of insectoid sort of colour, but I'm actually going to do them a classic bone colour. So I'm going to start off with some Xandri dust, and I'll wash that brown to get sort of a little separation from the skin sections. Okay, so that's the brown wash on, and I'm happy with the way that's come out, even on the smaller ones. And then the next step is going to be this duo of Meneth White base and Meneth White highlight, each time leaving a little bit more exposed until we get cool little fangs and teeth like this. So we're going from there to there. I'm going to leave these guys aside for the rest of this video. I might pick these up again at some point, but I'm going to wait for their buddies to join them, including this guy. So I'll batch paint them all together when I've got the rest of those printed. So for the bases, I'm going to paint them in this sand colour, so the A, B and C. That's what I've already started with this guy. And the way I'll do this on this guy is I'll use a smaller brush at first to get right in there, make sure we get everything. And then once I've got a sort of nice sort of border put in there, I'll go in with a much bigger brush and finish that off. Okay, that's the bases done. So that's the 3 layers of the yellows and black rim. Oh, I think we're pretty much there. I'm really happy with the way these are turning out. I'm going to try one more thing. I've got this shadow grey, which is rapidly turning to my new favourite paint. So let's see, just giving it the lightest dry brush. Okay, I tried it on this bigger one so I can tell the difference. And it's subtle, but I like it. So I'm just going to blast around. And what it does, it gives it this sort of edge highlight effect that you don't get from just the wash. I think the colours work well together. So that'll be my last stage. Okay, and I've finished off the bases now with a few bits of this dried out moss that's kind of bleached and some dead grass tufts, suitably deserty bits and pieces. I think they are absolutely cool little baddies. I think I'll be able to get some use out of them in 5 parsecs because there's a whole range of bugs required in the first expansion that go from like a queen, there's some like warriors, there's some sort of workers, and there's some that have more wounds and ranged weapons, which I'll sort of have these guys all painted up. So I know the sculptor doesn't really think of these as part of the same thing, but I quite like the idea that they're all sort of related. And there's some that have similar hit points, but with close combat weapons. So I should be able to put together something from this range representing all of the bugs. Another thing that I quite like about them is they work at sort of a multiple of scales. So this guy is the sort of medium-sized one, and compared to sort of a 28mm model, he's a big old lad. These ones snap at his knees. However, if you were to print this guy out, say 195% to sort of roughly Inquisitor scale, not finished painting this yet, these little ones would still be not a threat. Imagine if something like that came at you that was as big as your leg with that many teeth. I mean, teeth as big as yours. Never mind if something as big as a large dog with those sorts of teeth came at you. And obviously, Big Mama would still be absolutely terrifying. So I like the fact that these kind of work at multiple scales quite well. And just for completion, there's Big Mama next to the normal 28mm guy. He doesn't stand a chance. And that's all for this video. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments. Maybe subscribe for more. And as ever, thanks for watching. Bye.